We're live. Hey, everybody, and welcome to another episode of This Week in Real Estate, hosted by the Bearded Men of Real Estate. So we really appreciate you guys showing up. Thank you so much. We're happy to be back in 2022, first show of the new year. We have a whole bunch of guests that will be coming up through the first quarter. So this is kind of the first episode without a guest. And then I think after this one, we'll have several episodes coming up with lots of guests, and they're all professionals in the industry, people that can add to the conversation, and many of them have already contributed in the past. So,
and by the way, we will not be doing no appraisers, absolutely no appraisers of the show. Just kidding.
If he's watching now, he's gonna be like, "What?" Actually, I think he's gonna be the first one, so I haven't even told him yet. But I think next week we'll probably have him there. So you guys can join us. We're broadcasting in 3 places right now. We're on YouTube, and if you're following us on YouTube, you can join us just like Melissa did. And she says, "Hey guys, missed your faces and voices." Thank you, Melissa. There's always replays, but hey, I appreciate you. Who would watch a replay? I would. I don't even watch a replay.
No, the only replay I watch is the one I watched once. So
yeah,
a year from about 2 weeks ago at 4 a.m. I'll be watching.
You'll be watching the last show,
our last show of the year to get the roundup. But that's the only show I watch every year. The rest, I love looking at Ray's face for an hour, but I don't want to go back to it.
If you missed the last show we did was actually 2 weeks ago, so it's been a little bit late. We had a good holiday, but the last show of the year is always our prediction special. We go back and look at what we did the previous year, what our predictions were, see if we were right, and
we actually look at them.
It's always amazing to find out what we were right on. And then we go to this year, what is going to happen in 2022. And I think one of the things we all talked about was the increase in rates. I think someone even talked about the increase in the Rona. And so we had a lot of predictions on there.
And
we're going to
I'm looking good so far.
You're looking real good so far. So on the docket for today's show, if you notice the thumbnail, it said, "Guess who's back?" Borrowing a phrase from my good friend Marshall Mathers. And it says, housing boom roars as home prices surge. So we're going to talk about the surge in home prices, which creates an affordability crisis in the fourth quarter. We're also going to talk about the 9-month high for rates. Interest rates are already going up, and we all had a field day predicting what the rates would be. I was actually the lowest, which was surprising because like last year and the year before, I think it was the highest. We're going to talk about mortgage applications, what's happening with those. 20 state attorneys are taking aim at mortgage servicers. So there's some
this one's interesting to me.
Yeah,
now, I didn't even know this was a thing. I didn't know that the thing that they're mad about was a thing. Did we talk about it?
I don't think so. So I think it's new news for a lot. I'm sure if you're a lender, this is old news too. But so we reported like a year and a half, 2 years ago about Tesla's roof system and how they had a new solar roof that looked like shingles, but each shingle was a solar panel, and they were trying to make it as affordable as possible. And if you look at they're like, oh, you could replace your roof and it would only cost you $10,000. But what they're doing there is they're calculating the energy savings and all that kind of stuff too. So, yeah.
Right. But
so
really,
I was really excited.
I
was super excited. But I was like, wait, a $10,000 roof, it cost me like $8,000 for normal shingles. I'm definitely getting the upgrade. And then it's like, no, wait. That's after years of energy savings. So,
and that's if there's anyone that does solar or knows solar, I'd love to have that question answered, because if I need to do a new roof right now, what would that cost me? 15 grand. And then what it would cost to put a whole new system on. That's what I would love to know, because the article, when Ray gets there, it does kind of break down the basic of what it's going to cost.
Yeah. These all cost more, but the savings are great. Pete Thorpe, he's checking in. I think you're the Salt Lakers, right? He said, I'm not here. Patrick Ellis Home Inspections. He's not. Who's the Salt Lakers?
What? He's not in Salt Lake. He's in Pennsylvania.
Oh, is that Cindy? I can't remember. Yeah, I think that must be Cindy. Yeah, I think it's Cindy. Patrick Ellis is in. He says, "Happy New Year, all. Happy New Year, Patrick." And then the Salt Lakers says, "When everybody you run into thought your day in real estate investor, it's time to get out." What?
Throughout your day.
Oh, when everybody you run into throughout your day is a real estate investor, it's time to get out. That's funny.
Yeah. Oh, I'm actually an investor.
Yeah, wholesaler. Yeah. All right, so I'm getting a couple of messages on the back end. Let's see, where's the solar roof article? So I'll post that. Well, you're in Clubhouse, so I'm gonna see if I can copy and do the whole Apple thing where it takes my clipboard from the computer and paste it to you. I think it worked. All right, we'll see. All right, so that's kind of the news stories. That's everything that we're going to cover today. If you have anything to add to it or any big story that you saw over the holiday, feel free to chime in. We'd love to have your input there. Feel free to comment if you're watching on Facebook. We can display your comment on Facebook. If you're in Clubhouse and you want to talk on the show, just raise your hand. Julie Moon is joining us in 2 locations, one on Facebook. She says, hello, hey, fellas. Hey, Julie. And she's also a moderator in our Clubhouse. Ryan Bokro, Sustain Sup. Sup, Ryan. Good to see all of you back. We're happy to be back.
I know. I was like, dude, I don't know, man. Like, it's been a good break. I don't know if mentally I'm ready, because this is a lot. It's, honestly, I know maybe I'm being over dramatic here, but this is a drain to sit here and be entertaining for you people. I'm just kidding. Just kidding.
Yeah.
Anyway, but it's like
such hard work.
But it was a good break, and I was like, oh, all right, let's do the show today. And I was like, whatever. And then I get here and I'm like, God, this is awesome, man. I miss this more than anything. So
yeah. It's been fun. Well, it's always kind of nice to have a break from it, because the preparation for it is probably underestimated by most. I know we look like we're off the cuff, and sometimes we are, but most of the time we're like researching pretty hardcore all this stuff. And so it was nice to have 2 weeks off without kind of looking at I don't think I loaded a news app in 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah,
like, it was nice. Yeah. I just saw the news that everyone else was talking about.
Yeah.
Julie Moon says we could talk about Georgia football if you want. Well, we'll see. We'll see. There's a big game coming up for you guys. Razorbacks won in Tampa Bay, last week. So that was a lot of fun. Anyway,
the Bulldogs beat the Michigan Wolverines pretty badly.
Pretty badly. Sip that tea.
And by the way, I want you guys to notice, I want to say rest in peace. And it's not because of the horrible loss to the Bulldogs, but usually I have my Michigan Wolverines cup.
Yeah.
But I don't wash these things because I like the extra tea flavor in here. And that thing was like 2 years old. So it had to go. It's pretty beat up. It's been on a softball field. It gets beat up, tossed around. So if everyone can pour one out for my homie, my Michigan Wolverines cup, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah. Breaking news says the Salt Lakers, there's a new strain of the Rona affecting inner city real estate investors called Omicron. Omicron. That's good.
Omicron.
Well, we're going to dive into a lot of these news articles, but before we do, I did want to mention that if you're watching this on the replay, you can always go down into the description. There's going to be timestamps about all the news stories that we cover. Just click one of those timestamps and you'll be zoomed right to that article so that you don't have to watch all of this wonderful banter. Yeah, Julie, you should totally do this. Julie says she'll send you a new cup from Athens, Dan.
As long as it's I'm down. As long as it's a Yeti. It's got to be a Yeti.
Yeah, it has to be a Yeti. Don't go cheap, Julie Moon. Yeah. Melissa Mara said, we could talk about how I busted on the ice yesterday after getting 10 inches of snow that turned to ice quickly. I guess so, because it's kind of been hot and cold. It was like 70 degrees here, and then it was 20s in flurries.
Hey, total side note, but I posted this in my Instagram stories. If you don't follow me on Instagram, you should, because I don't post anything about real estate. I probably should more, but yeah. D-lettered rock. It's right here below me. Below me, sorry. Below me. DLUDWIGRCKS. But I posted about this documentary I watched about a climber, well-known but relatively unknown, and he did all these. It's called The Alpinist. And it's on Netflix, and it's absolutely amazing. It will captivate you. It was absolutely fantastic. It was so cool. You should totally check it out. It was amazing.
There you go. Pick of the week. We used to do pick of the weeks. Remember, we used to have pick of the weeks at the end of the show.
We used to, until the video was tough, and then it was tough to get all the bands. But this week is sponsored by The Alpinist. So if you guys, I'm just kidding.
I wish.
No, it really, the movie affected me. I watched it last night. It was really awesome. The kid that it's about was just. It's amazing. It's a really, really cool documentary.
Okay.
You should watch it.
That's a good one. I'll check it out.
Yeah.
Well, Dan, before we get into these news articles, would you tell people what this show is actually all about?
Yeah, I'd love to. Now, when I met Ray here on the interwebs about 92. I always forget when Al Gore created the internet. 92.
Was it 94? I don't know.
I thought it was earlier 90s, but Ray and I have known each other since before Al Gore created pants and the internet. He created pants too. Do you know that, right?
Yeah, there's actually a Wikipedia page called Al Gore and Information Technology, just so you know.
But anyway, I had an idea for a show called The Bearded Man in Real Estate, which is now This Week in Real Estate, hosted by the Bearded Man in Real Estate, because I am, in fact, a bearded man in real estate. But when I met Ray, I noticed something very interesting about him.
What's that, Daniel?
He's never soloed a deadly mountain in the dead of winter. Never.
That is true. Actually, my entire career climbing was cut short.
Wait, you had a career in climbing?
Oh, yeah.
Or was it cut short at the jungle gym at 5 years old?
It was cut really short. No, so I didn't get into climbing until college, and then I started kind of getting into it and stuff. But I didn't really like climb. I didn't really like going all the way up because I was a really big guy back then, like over 300 pounds. Yeah, and I could climb because I was flexible and stuff. So I would climb
strong, right? Yeah,
but hardly anyone could belay me. So I remember falling one time and meeting the belayer halfway.
like a Laurel and Hardy episode.
Yeah, that's exactly. It was slow, like it wasn't real fast because other people were. But yeah, it was. I met him halfway, and he was like, "Wow!" I was like, "Yeah, okay."
And by the way,
from then on, I just did bouldering, and I said goodbye to the deadly mountains.
But just so you guys know, the belayer is the one that's at the bottom of the climb, holding you, and they're supposed to stay there and hold you when you fall.
When you fall.
So for them to do this and look eye to eye was not a good thing.
And we had a cool thing going too, because instead of saying belay and he'd say belay on, I'd say rock and he'd go rock on. that was, and then we go. So yeah.
So there you go. By me saying some random fact that I don't know about Ray, we learned something about Ray every week.
There you go.
But I obviously noticed he's a beautifully bearded man. And what I also noticed that he loves giving value up front to not only his clients, but also just to humans in general. So the show's about being more as an agent, but also being more as a human.
There you go. And
my cats are just
I'm trying to bring up Patrick. So if you're a mod in there, please feel free to bring up Patrick. People that raise their hand. If you raise your hand and you're in Clubhouse and you don't have a bio filled out, I'm not going to put you up there. But if you got a bio and you've been on the show before, we're definitely going to bring you up there.
Carly,
she's in both places. She says I've been that belayer. Yeah, it happens. It's fantastic.
So wait, if that happens when you're the belayer, are you a halfwayer?
That's terrible.
Oh, you guys hate this banner. I know you hate this banner, but I don't care. I love it.
All right, let's get into the show then. Here we go.
It's so nice.
I have an announcement to make. As we get into the headlines, I have an announcement to make. There will be a slight change in the show. There might be actual sound effects on the way. I have ordered a different mixer and setup, and I have totally redone the office since you've last seen it. I know you can't tell because it's pitch black, but I've got like new racks and all my lights I can move around and everything. So I'm having a lot of fun with it, but I also ordered some new technology that when it comes, we'll have to do like a test show. So be looking out for the test show. And we'll run a test show. We'll broadcast it everywhere so people can join. We can test the audio, test all the settings, and you'll see me doing this a lot. Wait, let me hook this up. Yeah. That'll be happening a lot.
And then that didn't work.
That didn't work. That didn't work. Hang on. But once we get it down, I'm really excited because we will actually add a couple of sound effects. We'll a couple of cool sounders that we have whenever we change articles. So I'm pretty stoked.
And just breaking news. I just got an update. And I don't know the website, but my bold prediction for last year's end of the year show, it says new Rona variant identified in France. So
there you go. And that is kind of the first. I don't have an article on this, but what I do have is a whole bunch of anecdotal stories.
I like anecdotal.
So, just about everybody I know has it or knows someone that has it. And so we have to be real careful in talking about it. I am hearing a little bit of an echo, Dan. We have to be a little careful in how we talk about it. But the Rona is definitely a factor at play. We have a lot of real estate agents that are out. We have a lot of sellers and buyers that are saying, I can't show my home right now because of the whole Rona thing. So that has definitely been an issue that's impacting housing. And what I'm wondering is it going to impact housing in the same way where it did previously?
Right. Is it going to go that big again? Or is it going to be another big threat or another big worry for people, but we already know how to handle it? Like what's
Yeah, we'd
gonna
love
be
to
happening.
hear you guys. I know around the country, a lot of you have been talking about it. Um, I want to know what's happening. We just had our biggest school here, Little Rock School District. Just I think they went to homeschool, and there's like 300 teachers that are out. And I think what happened was family time holiday became a
Yep.
super spreader
New
event.
Year's. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then people, they were with family, and the brother-in-law had it or whatever, and then they took it from there and went to the New Year's party, and then they went back to work, and it's really spreading pretty rapidly.
Well, and
It's not,
remember too,
from what
it's
I hear, it's not nearly as bad. It's not nearly
right.
as deadly, but the spread is more. And if you're what do they call them? People that study pandies. We can't say the word. We probably shouldn't say that word either. If you're one of those people that study the pandies, you know that as things evolve and mutate, it can either evolve to become more deadly, in which case it loses the ability to spread so much, or it evolves to become less deadly and
But it
gains the
spreads
ability
more.
to spread
And that's
more.
where we're at now.
So that's kind of what's happening. But we are
Yeah.
seeing the shutdown of a lot of things. So I'm wondering, are we
That
headed
part.
for another shutdown where people say, okay, everybody go home for 2 to 4 weeks, or are we not going to ever do that again?
Well, they're doing that in, we have our friend. I always want to say her name. It's Agata in Toronto, Canada. They're doing another shutdown up there. So if Conoco's on here or someone from Canada, sorry,
I'm going to ping them.
we'd love to hear, because they're shutting down again. But then it's like, what do they have? A PM? Do they have a prime minister? I don't know what they have, but Doug Ford is like, no, this time's going to be different than last time. But they're on the like third or fourth. No, this is going to be different than last time. And people are like, and they're way past like left and right now. They're like, dude, this is just crazy. Let's just figure this out. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah. So it's keep your ear to the ground. One of the things that I want to remind other professionals, ear to the ground. That's how you find out.
Keep your ear to the grindstone. I think it is.
No. You got to keep something else to the grindstone. You keep the ear to the ground so you can hear what's coming. That's what they used to do back in the day.
Your nose is to the grindstone.
Nose to the grindstone, ear to the ground.
Okay.
And one of the things I do want to mention about it is not to stop. Whenever the first shutdown happened, we didn't stop. We continued to operate, and we continue to operate safely for all of our clients. We followed the procedures. Our policy for our office is to follow whatever the procedures the CDC is, mainly so someone can't, blast you on the news and say, you didn't follow the procedures and you gave all of your clients the Rona and 8 of them died and it's all your fault. That's a bad headline. So we're following all the procedures that we're supposed to, but at the same rate, we're still bringing back the virtual tours. We're, maybe releasing some of that information first. We're doing videos for all of our listings again. So whatever you can do to increase the activity around your listings to better serve your clients is going to go further for you in a time where people are more worried about it. Even if you don't believe in it, even if you don't want the vaccine or whatever, I shouldn't have said the V word probably. Anyway, even if you're one of those, it's still smart business practice to operate smartly. And
it also might be a good time to just check on people. So I've already made a couple hundred calls this week, and it's all just been, hey, I'm just checking in after the new year, check in how your holidays was, and happy new year. And then check in on people's well-being. Maybe don't go right into business. Just say, hey, how you doing? I know there's a lot of this going around. Hopefully everything is safe there. Let me know if you ever need anything.
Yeah. Anyone want to comment on this that's in Clubhouse right now? Just flash your mic and I'll bring you up. And no. Okay. Some of you had a close call. I'm not going to out your medical stuff, but I know some of you in the room now had some close calls. So, okay. All right. So that was kind of the first news. Is we just wanted to talk about that. We have people like my sister-in-law went to get tested in a line for 3 hours in Texas.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of that stuff going on. The other thing we want to talk about is the CBS News story, and it's kind of old news for most of you guys. You guys know this information already, but I still want to cover it for those that may not. But I feel like all the professionals that watch the show are going to be like, well, duh. All right. I'm hopefully not going to share the video. There's a lot of video ads on this one, so apologize in advance. Tons of
this is the one you had to bring up 20 minutes ago so it could load.
to load all the video ads. All right, so U.S. home prices surged again in October as the U.S. housing market continues to boom. Look at this video ad covering the text. In the wake of last year's Rona recession, the S&P CoreLogic Chase Schiller 20-city home price index out Tuesday climbed 18.4% in October for a year earlier. So that's nearly a 20% gain for sellers in a year. The gain marked a slight deceleration from 19.1% year-over-year increase in September, but was in line with with what economists have been expecting. Oh, look, the 3D printed houses ad is in there too. All 20 cities. I'm not going to go into all the 20, but this news comes to us from CBS News. It is the it is the one of the variants. They had another news story that talked about the variant potentially making rates stay low, which is about a week old because we know that didn't happen. As we see, this week has been totally different. Let's see. It remains unclear if the shift is permanent or an aberration, says Craig Lazar, managing director of the S&P Dow Jones Indices. But the housing market is strong thanks to rock bottom mortgage rates and limited supply of homes on the market and pent up demand for consumers locked in last year by the pandy. The Rona has driven many Americans tired of being cooped up at home during lockdowns and office closures to seek more suburban areas that provide more space that are not congested as apartments in big cities. Along with this article, which I thought was really interesting, was the Redfin CEO saying that his quote was, everyone is leaving New York and going to Florida, which I'm sure.
Mass exodus.
Yeah, mass exodus. It literally he said everyone, which I think there's still people in New York last time I checked. But Zillow came out and said Tampa Bay is the number one city to watch as far as where everyone is moving to. So I thought that was interesting on the heels of this information. We've been talking about it for a year, people moving into more suburban areas out of big cities, but it looks like Florida is the place to go.
I mean, I think it's been that way for a while.
I wonder if it's a lot of the boomers moving and you have that silver wave we've all heard about.
That's what I predict that 2 years ago.
Melissa Mara said, in all honesty, people living New York and New Jersey for Florida is not a new thing. It's been happening for a long time. But I think what they're seeing in the data is that it's more than ever. It's an overall increase of that.
Right. I know. And when we've hit it a bunch of times, but it's like there's always a good, what did Marley predict? She predicted like 30% of people would move or something a couple years ago. But there's always people moving, and it is up, but it's still up by a couple percentage points. You got to remember there's 40 million people in California. So if 2 million people leave, that's great for traffic. So please, 5 million can go. That'd be awesome. But it's kind of normal.
All right. Next up.
I wanted to add to this one, by the way, just a point for realtors. I think Ray already kind of mentioned it, but as you're reaching out to people and checking in on them, maybe all your potential sellers or people that are maybe on the fence, let them know in the last year they've made possibly 20%. And what I would do in just a year, by the way, that's not considering what happened in 2020 when it was 16%.
Yeah.
But what I would do is I would do some math based on February 2020, what home prices were at, and then what things closed at in December in your area. I would do your area. So you're not saying, hey, you made 20%. And then you're like, oh, dang it. Because I did some researches on the 4 counties I work, and it was like 12% higher. San Bernardino County, the county I live in, is 17% they made in the last year. So I would do those research, see what something closed. I would go right before the Rona. Something closed at February of 2020, and then something that closed last month. And then do the math in whatever area or farm, if you have a geo farm or whatever, and then do the comparison. Go, look, hey, you've made this much money potentially in the last year and a half, almost 2 years. That's, a no-brainer for sellers if they are on the fence at all.
So for my past clients, I'm doing comparative market analyses for their homes. So
everyone that bought
everyone that's ever bought, even last year. Everyone that's ever bought, they're getting an annual update on their investment.
Yeah.
right? So here's what you bought, here's what it's done in the last however long since you've owned it, right? So here's what it would sell for today if you're going to sell it. What's interesting is I had a meeting with one of my past clients last night about potentially selling their home. And they said, so where are we now? And I think I sold them the house like 2 years ago. And previously that would be like this is not going to be a good situation, but they are coming out smelling like roses. Like this is like, how high can it go? They're in a really good area. They bought a good spot and it went up. And I think they paid a little more because they thought they were going to stay a little longer. And so they were willing to pay a little more to win a bidding war 2 years ago.
Yeah, but
Now they're still coming out right. So,
right.
but all my past clients, the people where you send the Christmas card and it doesn't kick back to you, they're still there. All of those folks are getting a comparative market analysis. The others I'm wiping from the database. So it's a good idea to do during this time of year, especially just to update people and let them know what's happening. But good thought, Dan.
Yeah, and if you're feeling a little under the weather and can't get out there and door knock, or if the weather's not right for you, you can't get out there and door knock, do that. Update your database.
Yeah. That's a great thing to, if it does pick up and people are shutting down, like you can send a piece of mail with a piece of paper saying, hey, I know we can't get out right now, but I ran some numbers for you. All right. So I want to also talk about this article, home affordability. So whenever you see a price increase of 20%, a big issue is going to be affordability of homes. Now, this information comes to us from Atom Data Solutions, ATTOM. It says home ownership continues to swerve into unaffordable territory with median priced single family homes becoming less affordable in 3/4 of the nation's market. A report published by
Median.
Yeah, median.
Not average.
Per the report, between October to December of 2021, median home prices in 440 of the 575 counties analyzed by the new data vendor saw a notable home price growth as a result, which we just covered that part. On average, the median home price grew by 17% over the past year and 317,500, according to the new report. Wow. That's a lot. Historically low rates, rising wages are still big reasons why workers can meet or come to very close to the standard of living and benchmarks in a majority of the counties we analyzed. But the portion of wages required for major homeownership expenses nationwide is getting closer to levels where banks become less likely to offer home loans. I thought that was interesting. Basically saying that the cost of ownership is also increasing. So not only is the purchase price increasing, but the cost of ownership is increasing too.
Right. Which, yeah. And Vince, it's Klein Connect, right? I think we got that right.
You say?
Vince's comment on, I think it's Klein Connect.
Oh, wait, hang on. Let me go back. Vince, he says,
yeah.
He said, yes, his last name, Kleinknecht.
Kleinknecht, I think we got it.
Yeah. He says it really depends on what the seller's next step is. Sell at the top of the market. You also buy at the top of the market. Yeah. So that's a great point and one that we talk to a lot of sellers about. If you're buying in the same market that you're selling, it's kind of a wash. But at the same time, if you need to sell in limited inventory, I think the biggest helps are people with funky houses. Like you have this house with like a weird ridge line or like a funky backyard or something like that. In a market of incredibly limited inventory, that is the time to offload that property.
Right.
Go buy something normal.
Yeah. Because remember, buyers are like, okay, I'm going to let go. The weird ridge line, I'm going to let it go. Or the location or the backyard is more of a side yard than a backyard. But,
or maybe it's like off of a cliff, right? The backyard is the total cliff. Right. And it's a 4-bedroom house. So you got a bunch of kids in there, but their backyard is a huge cliff.
Yeah, it's a 20,000 square foot lot, but 19,000 of that is straight down. But
in a normal market, that's going to get beat by the person with a flat yard. And if he's having to be competitive because of the additional supply, then you're out of luck. So yeah, I agree with you, Vince. But there is, it can be a real boom for some sellers.
And that's why I wanted to make sure we brought that up, because it's definitely a fair point. But that's the conversation you have to have, because it's definitely intriguing to say, hey, you've possibly profited by almost 20% in the last year alone. Let's have a conversation.
Yeah. I want to cover 2 more articles, and then I want to go to Clubhouse and also some of our YouTube commenters to kind of talk about your markets and what you see happening now. This one is on mortgage rates. So we predicted that mortgage rates would go up. I think everyone across the board of our show last time predicted that mortgage rates will go up. But they have hit now a 9-month high, and loan demand drops further. So the average rate on a 30-year fixed mortgage hit 3.33%. Now, what was your prediction again, Dan?
I'm looking that up right now.
I think your prediction was like almost 4 or something.
No, I think I said over 4.
My prediction was 3.65 by the end of the year next year, and we are already at 3.3. So I don't know.
Yeah, I think I went over 4.
Yeah. Now this is an interesting phrase here. When was this? January 5 is when this was published. It says that economic damage from the variant of the Rona is now expected to be less than initially thought. And
what?
interest rates.
Wait, what?
Yep, that's what it says in the news here, that the economic damage from the Rona variant of the Rona is now expected to be the Omni Rona variant.
The octopus, we're calling it.
Yeah, the Octo Rona. It's expected to be less.
Okay,
and
wait. So yep. I just want to ask a question. That's all I want to do. So we already went through this in the early part and the mid and the late part of 2020, right?
Right. Yep.
We did it. We shut down. We were like, cool, we did this.
At the time they were saying, hey, this is going to be a huge downward trajectory. We're not going to recover from this. Housing is going to crash. Susie Orman, of all people, were saying, don't buy a house.
Don't buy a house right now.
You could do terrible advice if you took it. And so it was all like this downward trajectory line. That's what they said.
That's what they predicted, but it didn't. And
it
now
didn't.
having all that data,
it did, and then went right
it was
back
that K recovery, right? And then, but having all that data, there's still statements like, oh, well, the economic impact was less than we thought it would be.
Yeah, it's less than initially thought.
I mean,
now some might say it has to do with what parties in the White House, according to how sensational this is, and some might say maybe not, but whatever. The economic damage from the variant is now expected to be less than initially thought, and interest rates are sent back up onto their upward trajectory again.
First spammer of the year. Let's go.
wait, do we get a spam?
Yeah.
Oh, Vorg.org. Yeah. Hey, you aren't nearly as fun as the Couch Gang.
Couch Gang was amazing.
Couch Gang
was amazing.
If you missed,
if you guys don't know, we literally had 20 different people saying something about selling a couch.
20 or 30 people popped onto our live show and were like, we want to buy a couch. Are you guys some of the ones selling this couch? It was amazing. And we brought them on the show and talked to them. And then they had this private group and they were like, we were all talking about your show in the private group. It was the best ever because everyone else just bans them. So we were talking about anyway.
It was Couch Gang 2019, I think it was.
Yeah. The average contract for a 30-year fixed mortgage, conforming balance $548,000, increased to 3.3% at the end of last week from 3.27% 2 weeks before. Let's see. Mortgage rates continue to creep higher over the past 2 weeks as markets maintained an optimistic view of the economy, said Joel Kahn. NBA's economist. He says, he goes on to say, refinance demand continues to dwindle as many borrowers refinanced in 2020 and early 2021. Basically saying those who would refinance probably have refinanced by now.
Right.
So don't expect a huge refi crowd.
Now, so the average contract interest rate for the 30-year fixed, did you already cover this?
Yeah.
Rose to 3.33.
3.33.
But then did you cover this part? That's for loans with 20% down. That rate was 47 basis points lower than the same week 1 year ago.
No, I didn't. Yeah.
So that's crazy. But now I have a question for everyone. So when is the last time we were over 4? I went back and did some research.
Ooh, good question.
When's the last time we were over 4? And I want month and year, if you guys can guess. So Clubhouse.
June of 2016.
Okay, anyone else? I'll wait. And then the next question.
Yeah, that's my guess. If you're there, go ahead and guess. You can guess on stream. My guess is June of 2016. It was over 4. I could be wrong.
Okay. And then when's the last time we were over 5? So it's a huge difference.
Yeah, that's probably the.
So I'll give you a hint for the 5 one. I wasn't in the business yet.
Wow. So that's really old.
Yeah, Melissa, when's the last time we were over 4? Ray
When was the
said,
last month and year that we were over 4?
she said June 2000. You said June 2016.
Yeah, June 2016.
All
All
right,
right,
so
so
let's.
while we're
You want to move
guessing,
on?
I'll go
I'll
into
come
this
back
other
to
article.
it. Yeah.
Mortgage applications slide 2.7%. This is kind of it directly ties into the last article we covered. It's just a different take on it from Housing Wire. Mortgage applications decreased 2.7% from 2 weeks earlier, according to the Mortgage Bankers Association survey. The results included adjustment account for the holidays, and the holiday adjusted refinance index decreased 2% from 2 weeks ago. It was 40% lower than the same week a year ago. Let's see. This is the same. A lot of them have the same quotes. Everyone
Yeah.
thinks that Joel didn't just talk to CNBC and then he got on the phone and talked to um, Housing Wire. That's not the way it works. They just read the press release.
I swear, yeah, I swear he just types something up and then everyone's like, Joel Kahn said this. And then they write thousands of articles on thousands of websites.
Yeah. And they take one sentence. So Mike Frattitoni, chief economist at the MBA, forecast that millennials reaching peak first-time homebuyer age, a strong job market, and continued increase in home prices will contribute to a record-breaking 2022. This is kind of what I want to hear from everyone about. Are you on pace already this year for a record-breaking 2022? I know it's only been a week, but what has happened? Are you seeing that in your marketplace? Are you seeing a whole bunch of, I forgot we were not on. Are you seeing a whole bunch of people start to buy? All right. So we have Julie Moon said November 2018. Melissa Mara said over 5 was November 07. Ryan Bokro says 4% was sometime in 2014. All right. So I think those are all of our guesses. When were we last over? Oh, wait, there it is. Melissa Mara said over 4 May of 2019. So when was the last time we were over 4?
Melissa
right?
Straight up nailed it. May
Really?
of 2019 was over 4%. And it was like 4.03 or something, but that's the last time. And I messaged her. I'm all, oh, sorry, I'm getting a call. I messaged her. I'm all, you researched it. She goes, I did not, but she bought right around then, so she knew.
That's one way to find out.
And then, do you want me to do over 5?
Yeah. When was the last time we were over 5% interest rates?
So I got licensed at the end of 2011, and it was before that. It was the last time we were over April of 2010.
Wow.
This is the last time we were over 5%.
That's a long time ago.
That's a long time ago. So, and the other ones were close. There was 4.934, and it went month to month. And this was on, I found it on freddieMac.com/PMMS, blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
But if you want, just do a search for it and you can, it's a great one for buyers. Like interest rates are going up. I don't know if I should buy right now. Home prices are up. Yeah. But last time we were over 5 was 12 years ago.
Y'all should put that in a quiz on Instagram on your stories there. That's a fun little, I'm going to do that later. Julie Moon says her guess was November of 2018. It was over 4. And she said, I bought in November 2018. So she knew too.
Yeah. They were definitely in the ballpark.
So let's open it up a little bit for discussion. I'm going to bring the Clubhouse bunch up. If you want to talk and tell us kind of what's happening in your neck of the woods, I want to know about it. So, hey, there's Matt Lamar. What's up, Matt? Patrick, I see you flashing your mic, man. What's going on in your area?
What is up, party people? Man, I love being back. Thanks for hosting this. So I was actually really interested in that Zillow profile, and I think you guys kind of answered it with Dan, his kind of check-in script, like, hey, how are you? Just checking in after the holidays. But I'm in Raleigh, the Raleigh-Durham market, which Zillow put as number 3 behind Tampa, and then I forget was number 2. So just curious to hear what you guys have for strategies of not just being that realtor that what I call regurgitates the exact same thing that every other realtor's putting out, but, kind of a thoughtful way to engage your database or your sphere with that kind of stuff.
Ooh, that's a good question. So one of the reasons why we do this show is because this stuff comes up almost every week. I had already done a lot of the research for the show when I went to the listing presentation last night and talked to some past clients, and they're like, so one of our biggest questions is what's going to happen in housing? They're like, well,
do you have 3 or 4 hours?
Yeah. So, one of the things I think you can do, especially if you listen to the news articles and the shows, ask a lot of did you know questions, because most of the people see the headlines. Like the CNBC article, it wasn't CNBC, it was CBS article that we covered earlier, had so many pop-ups that no one in their right mind is going to read that article. However, there's a video at the top portion of that had the news story. And the news story was so sensational about the plain text article. It was the news story video was different from the text of the actual article. That was pretty, like, hey, this is kind of what's happening. We've had big
Yeah.
increases. Well, the news story was this anecdotal thing about someone trying to buy in Boise and how high the home prices were and how insane the market was and what all's happening. And this is happening everywhere. So I think a pattern interrupt is to say, did you know that kind of thing's not happening everywhere? Like, one of the things I've had success with was telling people the actual days on market, because they've heard like, oh, homes are selling so fast, homes are selling so fast, homes are selling so fast. But if you look at the median days on market in our area, it's 28. So did you know that the home in the middle of the market right now, the median, sold 28 days? I know you're hearing that homes are selling really fast, and they are, the ones that are marketed well, priced well, staged well, set well. So you kind of have to know what you're doing. So Patrick, I always look for opportunities for a pattern interrupt using the stories and the data and the things we cover to ask a lot of did you know questions. And hey, were you familiar with this? Were you aware that
Let
this is
them
happening?
answer.
Yeah. Did you know that due to the variant, there are a lot of people that don't think it's going to be as bad this time around and rates are going to still continue to go up, that the Fed doesn't look to be pulling any punches. And so we anticipate that the rates are going to go up. That having the knowledge of that kind of stuff and not only knowing what's happening, but the reason why will set you apart from the competition. The time and time again, people have elected to use me because they said you knew what was happening and you knew why. And it's comforting for me because it kind of validates the whole reason why we do the show. We think a rising tide lifts all boats, and by having one place for real estate agents to go for 1 hour just to kind of get an update on, hey, this is what's happening, hopefully it arms you guys so that you can help counsel and consult your clients so that they can make the best decision for their investment.
Well, and I knew Ray for a little while before we started the show, but I didn't know how detail oriented he was. So it really challenged me to like, I got to step up my game, like business wise. We're not on the same trajectory just because I have different goals. But as far as knowledge wise and just knowing your market and knowing everything that's going on, and you can know some national stuff too. The show has been, in how do I unequivocally? Is that a word?
Is that a word?
Anyway,
unequivocally is a word. Unequivocally.
But it's been really helpful. It's been unmatched
unmatched. That's good.
Unmatched in how much knowledge that I have to do, but we've been doing this a long time now, but for the last 3 years, I'm literally just daily like, oh, what's up with real estate news? It's just a habit now, which we all need to be in the right habits, right? So, it's all just been in a habit to kind of do real estate notes, but then really get to know your market. And being on a show weekly with Ray has challenged me to be better. And man, it's really, really helped me with my clients.
So anyone that's a past client of mine has received articles from me, and I'll send it to them and say, hey, did you see this article? Don't, get past the sensational headline.
Read past the headline.
And I give them the real info of what's happening. And they're saying that, home prices are going down. In reality, it's the home price gains that are slowing. So home prices are still going up. So just so you guys know, whenever you see home price gains slow, know that home prices are continuing to increase. So that's the kind of information. I agree with you, Patrick. Like, there's so many people using the same script. My clients are sending me stuff all the time saying so many calls from company or the company, and they all say the same thing. I love the pattern interrupt. So find a way to interrupt that pattern, get their attention, and then give them some value. So good question, Patrick. Justin, hey man, we were just talking about Canada, and I know you missed the part where we were talking about the article. You're super busy, and so I appreciate you dropping in with us. But we were wondering, is Canada in a full lockdown right now? Are you here? Can you say something about that?
I am. Yeah. So Ontario is locked down in terms of like everything's closing again too, massive restrictions in place. Real estate can't do open houses, but can still do private showing. So we're just kind of back to what that was like. I know Quebec is under curfew, so you cannot leave your house after 10 p.m. to, I believe, 5 a.m. in the morning, not even to walk your dog, or you're going to get a ticket. BC, everywhere's a little bit different how they're managing things, but yeah, and it's funny because notice that they instituted the same lockdown policies they have for the past couple only the people are pissed. Like we are seeing a pushback probably like we hadn't seen before.
That's what I
And
was saying.
there was one pushback on the last lockdown where the government turned around and changed their tune within like a week. So I'm very curious to see what happens over the next 2 weeks. But I think, people succeed in spite of political process. And I think from the people I'm talking to day to day, we're just, battening down the hatches and just getting to work, right? So I don't think the market's going to be slowing down at all.
Yeah, and that kind of goes back to the news article that we were talking about earlier, where they said that they don't anticipate the impact, the economic impact of the new variants and stuff to be nearly as severe. I think in part of that is because so many people are mad about it. They don't want to be locked down. They're like, just give me this thing, let me get it over with, and let's just go. So that's really interesting. Thanks for chiming in about that, Justin.
Which, if you didn't watch the year-end show, I had a rant about it.
Yes, there was a Rona rant.
Yeah, it was a little bit of a
One
Rona rant. But
thing I do want to note that might be. Sorry, Ray. Can I just say one more thing?
Yeah, absolutely.
So one thing for your American audience, I bet you there's probably more lawyers getting contacted about E2 visas than ever before. So I have a very large developer I work with that just bought a ready mix company in Florida. I have another builder that just opened up shop down there as well. Asked me if we can do business down there. And we always do referral business and some other consulting business over in the States, but we're actively looking for an E2 visa and to invest stateside as well to keep our options open. So I would be marketing towards Canadians if I was in the States on your side of the fence for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's really interesting. And so if you
reach out to your Canadian agent friends that like, hey, I'm in this area. I work this area. If you need any help, let me know.
You wouldn't say, hey, you would say, hey, I'm in this area.
No, that's New York. Hey.
It's actually kind of a close relative. It's not too far. So the E2 visa, just for those of you who don't know, that allows the individual to enter work into the United States based on investment in U.S. businesses. So the E2 visa is valid for 3 months to 5 years. Depending on the country of origin, can be extended indefinitely. So just so you know, that's just off the top of my head. I wanted to bring that up for people that may not know.
Again, Ray's a knowledgeable guy. But total side note, real quick, just 28 days later is very different from 28 days. 28 Days Later is a horror movie.
Oh yeah, that is
28 Days is a rom-com. Just to be clear, don't get those confused. If you want a rom-com with Sandra Bullock,
can you imagine? We're gonna watch 28 Days and then bam.
Yeah, and you get a rom-com. Or you think you're gonna watch a rom-com and you get the horror flick. Yeah, be careful there.
Oh, that's too funny. All right, so that was in response to some of the YouTube comments that we were getting so far. All right, so anyone else in Clubhouse want to chime in? Tell us kind of what's happening in your neck of the woods and what you're doing in the new year as it relates. I've got a hand raised. Let me see if I can bring them up. Let's see.
Shawnee's on a phone call. Let's bring her up right now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I should probably pull down to refresh. There you go. Okay, what's up, Michael? Hey, welcome, man. This is a podcast. I know you're new to Clubhouse because I see the little party popper. For those of you who don't know, there's a little party popper by the people that are new.
Yeah.
So welcome. You're also a real estate gave you freedom. You don't have any followers or anything, so I'm taking a bit of a risk bringing you up. But I saw the party popper. Do you have any comments about what's happening in your market?
Yeah, it's just it's exciting up here. I'm up in North Idaho. I work in Spokane in Eastern Washington.
Are you a real estate agent there?
Yeah, I am.
Okay, cool. So what's happening in your neck of the woods? You say you buy houses in Montana, but where do you work again?
Oh yeah, I'm kind of spread out a little bit. I buy a lot of rental houses, and I'm a broker in Eastern Washington.
Oh, that's cool. Okay,
Eastern Washington, which the top. Yep.
Yeah, so looks like we hit the jackpot then. Welcome. Thanks for joining the show. You're broadcast right now on Facebook and YouTube at the same time that you're on Clubhouse, and this will go on our podcast later. So tell us what's happening in your area. Is it being locked down? Is the market continuing to go no matter what? What's going on?
Well, the market's definitely screaming forward. Just inventory crunch. It's really tight at the top end. I have a listing at 475 that's kind of crickets right now. It's a little slower than I would like. I pay really close attention to the under $200,000 market because I buy those houses. All I need to know is if it's $120,000 and I don't have to bulldoze it, I'll buy it. And those, we haven't seen any of those for a
Good
long time.
ad.
I was listing those a couple of years ago for 80,000, 90,000, and now they never show up. So but I do the same search week after week after week, and the last 2 years we've had 5 to 20 houses under $200,000. Today there are 2, and so we're just continuing to see tightening inventory. I just raised my search criteria that I do regularly up to 250,000. And
I was just about to ask, at what point as an investor do you look at that and say, okay, time to raise the stakes a little bit? So that's interesting that you just know that.
Well, he's benefiting.
I don't like it. I don't. It makes me nervous, but I got to have some data to look at. I got to have something to benchmark off of. I'm not excited to buy $250,000 houses.
Well, you would be if they sell for what, $350?
Yeah.
If they would rent for $2,500,
Oh, okay. So you buy a hold. Okay. Yeah, and that's gonna. Thanks for joining us, Michael. But that brings up a good point too, because we were talking about a lot about the increase in home purchase prices, but we've also seen a drastic increase in the rentals. And one of the things that may be pushing that along is that there's a lot of investors buying quote unquote regular residential houses and then Airbnb-ing them in the big cities. So now, what rental was making, $2,000 for an investor is now pulling $4,000 for an investor through short-term rentals. The only downside to that is the increase in management and upkeep. You've got a 20% to 30% management fee instead of a 10, but still the money's there. So I wonder if what the impact will be kind of continuing through the year. We'll continue to watch that, but thanks for reminding us about that, Michael. That's a good point. So
he's benefiting.
What was that, Dan?
He's benefiting from the mass exodus from California.
Everybody's leaving California. And we also know that everyone is now leaving New York. According to veteran CEO. So mass exodus from New York as well, which I'd love to get Jay's opinion on that.
I know. We had him on. What was that, around May or
it was when everyone was saying everyone is fleeing New York because of the Rona. The first time we went through it,
he was pissed.
He was so mad. He was like, "No, it's not true." So
he's like, "Stop!" And he even went on like, "Look who's writing those articles, and I'll tell you all about them. I know all about them. Look who's writing." Yeah. He was awesome, man. He was so good. And by the way, Dusty, hi Dusty, thanks for joining. Dusty. On YouTube, by the way, she's actually made the mistake between 28 days and 28 days later.
They're having a rousing discussion about zombies in the YouTube comments. So I don't know what that's going to do to the analytics. That'll be interesting.
Well, let's ask that question. Justin Conoco, our one of our Canadian correspondents, asked, "Zombie apocalypse preferred weapon of choice." Everyone. So I think he's saying blanket. Everyone gets a samurai sword, and you get one extra. So what's your one extra? And remember, bullets are not renewable and run out.
I don't watch a lot of zombie movies, but I would definitely. Yeah, I'm not. Just don't watch the last zombie movies. Sneak up on me. Like I watched Maze Runner. I had no idea that'd be a zombie movie. No clue. I was like, oh yeah, this used to be an Atari game I would play back in the day. Yeah. And I watched the first one; it was pretty good. I watched the second one. I'm like, wait,
zombies.
This is a zombie movie.
So what do you think? You have a samurai sword. Everyone does. And what's your second weapon? Is it another handheld or like another bludgeoner? Is it another cutter? Is it a gun?
And there a rule, and there a zombie rule. Like there's only certain ways they die, right? And I don't know.
They're all headshots.
Zombie, you have to do headshots.
Yeah, I mean you could dislocate the head, but it's
you have to take the head off some way.
But it's still alive if you don't get the brain. You got to get the brain.
Oh, okay. So that's the kill shot.
And we have to, the Salt Lakers, man, the jokes are so good. A zombie broke my heart.
That's good.
Good idea for a movie. So keep that going. Let's see what the analytics do. Maybe it'll get us.
Yeah, maybe it'll get us a lot. Samurai sword honestly would have been my first choice because of my martial arts background. So I would probably. So there's another weapon that is a bow with a sword at the end. That's probably what I would choose because you can keep them at a distance.
Keep them at a distance. So for me, it would be location would be first. Where am I safe first? And then I have my samurai sword, and then I would go with another bludgeoner, but not something that would stick. So I would actually just go with another sword or like a sai or something, because you don't want to take the bat. The bat goes and then sticks. You can't go to the next zombie, right?
Yeah, a Psy could. Well, a Psy, you would put you have to do that thing. So you're
Yeah,
getting your
but for
fingers
up
off
close,
of-
if they start getting too close, then you can kind of just start jabbing, and you could have 2 of them.
Interesting.
Yeah. So anyway, those are my thoughts on it. What are your thoughts? Anyone?
We derailed the combo. All right. So speaking of getting in trouble,
There you
there
go. Julie Moon
are
is on a similar page to me. She'd have a smaller blade for the headshot, the quick headshots. Yeah.
good grief. You guys are okay. And she changed her photo too. All right. So 20 state attorneys are taking aim. Speaking of shots and taking aim, not at zombies. This time it's mortgage servicers. How'd you like? That was okay, right? That was an okay transition.
Not our best.
Some Federal Housing Administration approved mortgage servicers have routinely flouted the agency's loan modification program, according to Washington, D.C. Attorney General Carl Racine and 20 other state attorneys general. The attorneys general wrote December 21st letter that the number of mortgage servicers employed by the FHA approved lenders failed to adequately implement loan modification options the FHA introduced in July. The loan modification options allowed eligible borrowers to reduce their principal and interest payments by 25%. FHA required the mortgage servicers to implement the program by October 21st of 2021. But rather than adhering to the program, some mortgage servicers of FHA insured loans allegedly sent borrowers notices that fails to mention the relief option, requiring paperwork and imposing qualifications that are not necessary under the FHA's guidelines. Servicers also told borrowers that loan modification option did not exist, and the Attorney General claimed. So basically, all those loan modification plans that we were talking about, there were several of them that we had talked about in the past, and we covered it whenever they first released it in July. Was it July? Yeah, July.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so we covered those. We also covered the forbearance, refinance, and modification options that they had to go through. Essentially, they're not doing it. There's several that haven't, and so now they're getting in trouble. Any other thoughts on that, or is that just a
So I want to play devil's advocate here, okay? Because in a statement at the end of the article, Racine, he said he called the mortgage servicers' misdeeds illegal, quote, illegal, unacceptable, and dangerous. He added that they discriminate against low-income borrowers and borrowers of color, groups the FHA disproportionately serves. So
does it? Here's my question about that statement. And the government has done this in the past, and it kind of becomes an incendiary statement.
Right.
Does it affect those quote classes because they are disproportionately using that loan program, or was there something targeted by the loan servicer that said, well, we're going to give the white guy the option to refi, but not someone else?
Right.
That's what that wouldn't they have to prove that?
Well, that's why I wanted to play devil's advocate, because now this wasn't a big story, but now it's, they're suing, but we live in a very litigious society. We know that, right?
Yeah.
So was there like letters that went out saying, hey, and it's October, what did it say?
October 21st, they had to implement it. So I'm assuming people are late on their payments, and the default notices said, hey, you're in default, you need to pay.
Right. So was there a thing that went out saying, okay, by October 21st, you have to have this implemented, and all marketing and notices of default and all that, it has to say that this is available, and here's because it says in the article that they could save up to 25% on their monthly payment.
Yeah.
So did it have this big rollout saying, dude, if you don't comply by October 21st, and here's how you comply? Did it have that rollout, or did it say, if you don't do this, then, we're going to come after you kind of thing? Or is this lawyers seeing an opportunity for some fast money? And I'm not
fast
saying
cash
either way, some fast cash. I'm just saying, because what if it's just, they're like, oh no, we've made it available. It's on our website. So we didn't know we had to tell them.
Okay.
That
let me play.
You understand the point I'm trying to make?
Yeah. So that we're not automatically going against the evil loan servicers, right? Let me
Right.
also say to real estate agents that are out there, you all have automated drip campaigns. If the government tomorrow said, okay, guys, you have to add to your automated drip campaigns this bit of information, and anyone you send this type of message to about buying a home, you also have to include this bit of information about fair housing, for
Right.
instance.
Right.
And anyone who doesn't do that is going to get in trouble. All right, that's fine. You think you've updated everything, you've got it. Then maybe some old contacts get stirred up in your database, and your automated service sends a plan, a smart plan that's not updated.
Yeah, a drip.
Could that have happened with the mailed default notices where, you know, they updated their general practices and their day-to-day and their interactions and maybe the phone scripts and things like that, but then bam, someone gets a default and the notice goes out almost automatically because they don't pay a certain number of time, bam, it goes out. You know, that's all automated.
Right.
And now they're like, oh, crud. We should have included it there too.
Or
that's
we
what
should have sent it.
I'm thinking maybe that's probably what happened, but I don't know.
And were they told, like, you know, anyone in default, you know, a month before that this goes into effect, you have to send it out? Or like, what was the rollout plan? And did they know? Or it was like, hey, you have to implement it. And everyone's like, yeah, we implemented it, but we didn't feel the need to tell everyone about it, you know, because I mean, and I get it. Like, yes, it would be great if everyone could save 25%, but also there, if someone's paying, is it only for people in default?
So you talked about them saving 25%. The Salt Lakers
save
says
100%.
eviction saves you 100% on your mortgage payment. Oh, that's terrible.
But so I'm just saying, maybe it's not this big nefarious plot to take money from the little man, you know, or tall man, I guess. But
so from the other side, though, they probably have to say, well, no, this disparagingly affects people in this category, that category, in order to get the big servicer to act. Because I think we've also been on the situation which you're trying to get a hold of someone at one of those companies and you can't get anyone to do anything for you.
Yeah.
So that's probably the optics of it.
Much
probably
like
get people to move faster.
Yeah. Like, hey, I heard about this program. How do I apply for it? And you don't get anyone on the phone.
Right.
Yeah. And I'm not saying either thing is happening. I'm just playing devil's advocate because, you know, the clickbaitier stuff gets more comments, I guess.
Yeah.
But not as much as zombies.
Not as much as zombies. Yeah, this was a funny comment by Julie Moon. She said, Justin Conoco, lockdown got you going. Lockdown got you down in Canada, going straight zombies.
And by the way, I wanted to ask him, Justin, what number lockdown is this for you? I think they're on their 4th or something crazy. Because he mentioned as he was talking, he's like a couple of lockdowns ago. Like,
yeah, I think they are on their 4th. I think they had 2, and we had 2 as well. I think they had 2, and then they had an additional one more recently that was reversed, like he was saying. So I think this is number 4. It's either number 3 or number 4. All right, so pop in the comments for us, Justin. What zombie are you on? Oh, he said 5. Julie said, oof. Wow. Woo. All right, so speaking of clickbait, let's talk about Tesla.
Okay.
We should probably put it as the headline.
And is this remember though?
What?
Yeah, is this the end of Tesla?
Is this the end of Tesla's roof? Yeah.
But remember, Clanton figured it out. That company All Set was just Tesla backwards. Like, wait,
Tesla backwards. You remember that? Yeah. That was a rad. All right. So roofing giant takes on Tesla in order to make solar roof shingles. I'm really excited about this. This is like the most practical application. I personally, having a gigantic panel on your roof, it doesn't look good. And yes, it might work, but you're putting holes in your roof and you got this giant panel. I don't like it. And you have to you have to change it out. Because
if your roof is 20 years old and you're going for a 30-year roof, are you going to change your whole roof when it still has 10 years left on it? Or, you know, or if you're 10 years in, are you going to change out your whole roof? Or are you going to put holes in your roof? Like, when you could just put on a whole new roof that's all solar panels. It's cool.
Yeah, well, so picture this. Let's say you have a 15-year roof and you put a solar panel on it that lasts 30 years. You're going to have to take off the solar panel, change off the roof later. Anyway, It's a
Yep.
it's okay. I like the technology. I like the idea of being completely disconnected from the grid and having power. That's a really cool idea. I don't like the eyesore, and I don't like the impracticality of putting a giant thing on my roof that doesn't last but 30 years. But these are cool. These look really good. Let me share the article again so you guys can see it.
Okay, but wait,
And I
wait,
just
wait,
had a
wait.
blackout. So tell me if my screen blacks out again, because it totally blacked out. I couldn't see anything for a second.
No, you're good. But read through the article because I found something very, very funny in this.
Look at the picture though. Look at the old shingles versus the new cool roof. I mean, it's really
I know, but wait
something.
for it. Just wait for it.
All right. So when Elon unveiled the Tesla solar roof in 2016, was it that long ago? It
Yeah.
was the first that many people had heard of solar shingles, but the idea of roofing product that gave both generate energy and blend with regular asphalt shingles has been around for decades. Companies from Dow Chemical Company.
Wait, don't scroll anymore. Don't scroll anymore.
But don't scroll anymore.
Just keep reading, but don't scroll.
All right.
It's the best thing ever.
Okay, Dow Chemical Company, now defunct, BP Solar, have given the solar shingle a shot, but many of the products are no longer on the market. Solar shingles have been expensive to manufacture and install, not as efficient as solar panels. Now, GAF Energy, GAF Energy, it's the sister company to one of the largest roofing companies in the world, and a division of privately held Standard Industries, is launching a new solar shingle effort. It just released its product called Timberline Solar, which the company says will be cheaper and more reliable than Tesla's solar roof. It just won the Best of Innovation Award for Smart Cities at the CES.
Good. Sounds good.
All right. What is GAF Energy apart? We are part of the world's largest roofing manufacturer.
Does it say somewhere there how big it is? It's like it's just a little bigger than the Tesla one. Does it say that? It says it's somewhere.
We have access to materials typical
Yeah.
solar companies don't have. No, let's see. Timberline Solar can be nailed to the roof just like a regular shingle. That's crazy.
Yeah.
GAF Energy says it will reduce the complexity 17 inches tall and 64 inches big. Oh, wow.
Okay, now don't know what now. Show the article again.
Oh, yeah. I got to bring this up.
Look at the
That's
size
the
of that.
shingle. Look at the size of that shingle.
That's a solar panel. That's just not a shingle. That's a
17 inches tall and 64 inches long. The shingles are also larger than Tesla's, meaning there are fewer parts to manufacture. Yes, and you can cover your entire roof with 3 of those.
3 of them because it's a solar panel. It's not.
I guess there's overlap because it is a shingle product. So
Well, and you can tell. Yeah, you can tell like where her right hand is holding it for the listeners on Clubhouse. Like that would be the flat side. Then you can tell where the overlap is. But it's like because the Tesla ones are pretty small comparatively, and then they should not have had a 5'4" woman hold this panel.
No, they need a big dude like me holding that panel.
They need Ray holding that panel.
This is what they say. However, the larger and bulkier design also means that GAF Energy shingle doesn't blend in well with Tesla's product, which is nearly indistinguishable from normal roofing material.
Right. That's the difference there, the big difference. But, their spin on it is, well, ours is bigger, so there's less problems that can happen because there's less parts. But I saw that picture, man, and I lost it. That was so good.
All right, so there's a new roofing shingle in town, so I like that.
And it does say, hold on. Did I have anything on this one? There you go. The cost. If you want to keep going, it'll get to the cost because it says, hey, we're assembled in the United States, but then it kind of mentions while the company imports its PV cells from Thailand, it believes having some domestic manufacturing is advantageous, so they don't have to fly around to make changes and all that stuff.
$30,000 solar roof would be far cheaper than anything on the market today. For comparison, Tesla's projected cost for an average sized 1,700 square foot solar roof in the Bay Area is about $40,700
before subsidy. So that's kind of goes to the point where so you said, no, it's 10 grand. Okay, but it's not. It's 50 grand. But after everything,
after all of your energy savings and some subsidies, which eventually the subsidies are going to run out, and those things got to stand alone, right? You can't just rely on subsidies for your roof all the time.
Yeah, and also you got to look at effectiveness. Do they actually take you off the grid? Do you have to do your whole roof? Because if you do your whole roof in solar panels, you're going to have a lot of power coming in. So the big question to ask is, can you sell? Do you only do a chunk of
You
your
sell
roof?
it back.
And then can you sell back? Because if you cannot sell back, it's not worth it. You got to
just
be
need
able
to
to
give an
sell back.
extension
That's
cord.
what minimizes your. You got to do an
You gotta-
interconnection agreement. I know all about this.
No, you just get an extension cord and throw it to your neighbor. Then
There
they
you go.
cover part of your cost of your shingle.
Hey Billy, get that extension. I need the 100-footer. Get the 100-footer over
Get the
here.
100-footer. Speaking of, I wish we had an appraiser in the audience to tell us if solar shingles actually added value to a home, or if it
Too
was
bad
just
we
a-
don't. Nope.
I don't see anyone that
he's
would
not
have the
here,
knowledge or
I guess.
expertise in the. Oh wait, there's Scap.
Oh, hey,
Scap,
Scap.
are you here? Are you listening? If he's listening, yeah, he's listening. All right, Scap, I'm going to bring you up.
You guys are just
Can you
messing.
answer a
Just
quick
messing.
question for us? What value does a solar roof add to a home, Mr. Appraiser?
Oh, why you got to put me on the spot here like this? Well, actually, it just depends. But Fannie Mae has their own guidelines that you have to follow as an appraiser. So pretty much, if they're leased, if you have a leased system, you're paying a lease on that. It's typically not going to add really any value to your property. If it's
Right.
owned outright, if you own it outright, well then yeah, there's definitely going to be some value to it. But again, it's all market specific. If you're in an area that doesn't really have solar panels like on homes out there, like say you're here in Atlanta, I mean, I very rarely see any kind of homes with solar on them, so it's very hard to actually determine what that market reaction would be for that house. But if you're in an area, say like Arizona, or Vegas, where most of the homes have solar panels on them, well, then again, it's just going to depend on if they're leased or if they're owned, and then you just got to determine. There's a couple sites out there that help you determine what the value of the panels are. You need to know the specifics. You need to know the make, the model, how many panels are on the house. So there's a lot that goes into it to determine actually what the value is. So again, it depends if it will add value or not.
And how many years left, I guess, are on the system, because the system does deteriorate over time and stuff. So that would be interesting. Thanks, Scap. We're going to have Scap on our show coming up. So in the next couple of weeks, he's going to be on with videos. So I'm going to get with him about that. Right,
So
Scap?
we have.
I told you in the message on your Instagram. I told you I'm going to be launching some thermonuclear bombs here for you guys. So yeah, whenever you guys are ready, just let me know, and I'll definitely get on with you.
Yeah,
guys. So be sure to join that week. If you haven't been able to tell an appraiser that they're wrong lately, that would be a great show for you guys to pop on and let Scap
There you
know. Thanks, Scap. We'll see you then.
Ray and I are not sensationalistic people, so we're gonna
Yeah.
have him. He's gonna just straight up blow all your minds. But
I think he's sensational.
absolutely sensational.
good.
We have.
I'm looking forward to it. I can't remember what show was it we were talking about appraisals and stuff. He was like, "Oh, I wish I could." So much to say. So
yeah, now he gets to say it. But I deal with a lot of panels here, solar panels here in California. And in my experience, what I've noticed is exactly what he said. If it's leased, it's kind of a wash, because usually what it is, it depends on who gets the savings. Usually the company that installed it will get the actual kickback, not the homeowner, because it's leased. And then do you get to keep those panels when the lease is up? How long is on the lease? Usually it's like 130 to 180 bucks a month. And then, that's high-ish for the winter months here, but in the summer months, that's low. So it kind of averages out. It's kind of a wash. But if they're owned outright, then you get the kick. Then an appraiser will be like, okay, these are owned outright. It adds this much value, depending on the age of the system, all that stuff. When we bought in 2013, I went in very aggressively because it was for our house, and I did no appraisal contingency. And I got the appraiser to add 15 grand for the solar system that's on that house. So any house that didn't have it, you know how appraisals work. If it didn't have it, then ours was 15 grand better. Just like having a nice backyard or an updated pool or something. Yeah.
Yeah, we had one. I sold one in a neighborhood that didn't have any yet, and I think they added like $20K to the value because it was almost a brand new system. It cost like $35 to put in, so they did add some value over some of the other comps, but it wasn't a dollar for dollar trade. So,
and that's a note for sellers. If you're doing a kitchen bathroom, you're going to get 100% back or more probably in this kind of market, right? Depending on the condition of the rest of your house. But really look into the value. But if you're thinking about leasing, really look into it, because there's, my friend went into a program. He was like, does this seem good? And it was like 30 grand to do a whole new roof and a whole new badass solar system. I was like, yeah, and he's gonna own it, and the payment was crazy good, and it's gonna add value to his house. I was like, that's a no-brainer. So if you're thinking about it, you got to think about your roof, you got to think about what it'll add. If you're gonna lease, I would say don't lease. And really, really think about that. And if you have any questions, ask a professional like myself. And if I don't know the answer, I know a really good solar guy that can answer all the questions for you.
And there's I did have a situation which one of my clients had a leased system, and they basically were able to take it with them. They repaired the roof where they took it out.
That is a clause in some of the lease agreements. So you got to really read that fine print though, because a buyer, remember, so if they're close on their ratios, what their monthly payment is, and that they have to qualify for that as well. So that extra 130, 180 bucks a month, and that's here in the markets I deal in, but that may ruin their ratios. They may not be able to qualify for that house. So you just got to kind of remember that.
Well, cool. Well, thanks everybody for joining the show. We really appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for the Clubhouse moderators that popped up to help manage that. We really appreciate you.
Good
guys
to be back. Thank you.
It's fun to be back. It's really cool seeing all the comments and everything come through. So we love you guys. We appreciate y'all. Dan, before we leave, can you tell everybody where they can find you?
Yeah, Cash App, D Ludwigrocks, DLUDWIGROCKS.
Find him by Cash App.
But just Instagram. Go follow me on Instagram. I don't really post much real estate stuff there because I think real estate's extremely boring. Anyone that needs to know about my real estate, I message them directly or market to them. But yeah, I post lots of fun stuff, and I have a controversial post going right now. So very good.
I am real estate all day, all the time. So no, I'm kidding. I do. There's other stuff on there too, but you can find me at Razorback. That's RAYZORBACK. Razorback sold. So, thank you guys for joining us. We will see you guys next week.
Love you guys. Thanks, buddy.
Almost hit the wrong end button. There's the end.